Okay, video for today. We're going to start talking about parts of our sensory nervous system. Sensory means that it's part of our senses. And the reason why we need to study our senses as part of our nervous system is because your senses, your eyeballs, your taste buds on your tongue, your ears, your skin for touch, and your nose for smell, all have a way of taking information from outside your body and making it become a part of your body through nerves. Okay? There are patterns of nerves that happen because each of these senses has millions of nerve endings that are involved. And so what will happen is that outside information comes in, sets off a chain of reaction of a bunch of different nerves, usually millions of nerves at a time, sending their information to your brain. Your brain processes the pattern of what just happened to it and turns it either into a picture, a smell, a taste, a sound, and interprets it for you, or a kind of touch, interprets it for you and shows you what the world is like around you. Okay? So we're going to talk about today about the sense of sight with the eyeball, and then we're going to talk about the sense of taste and what taste buds are. We're going to keep these pretty short and simple, okay? Your eyeball has several different parts that you need to know about, but basically the whole idea here is that light is going to come in from the outside. It's going to strike the inside of your eye and cause changes in some of your cells that are going to set off your nerves. All of those nerves are wired together and come together as one big nerve back here in the back called the optic nerve. This is one of those cranial nerves that we talked about earlier in the week. Cranial nerves are ones that branch directly off your brain. So this is hardwired straight to your brain. This pattern of information that comes into your eyeball is going to be gathered together into one cord and sent to the back of your brain, to the occipital lobe of your cerebrum. Okay? So, here's the way that we get that into something that your brain can interpret and is organized enough. Because right now, you're sitting in a sea of light coming at you from all sorts of directions. It's all sorts of colors, it's all sorts of brightnesses. For your eye to be able to interpret it, though, and send it to your brain in a way that your brain can put together a picture for it, we kind of got to limit that down, and we got to focus it up. Okay? Just like glasses and cameras focus things for us. Okay? Your eye's structures are designed to do exactly that with the light, so that when the picture comes together and heads towards your brain, it's organized information. Disorganized information is kind of what I get when I lose the glasses. I get information that is not as organized as it should be, and so I get a blurry, fuzzy picture of a bunch of light coming at my face in different colors, but I don't get a clear picture of you guys. Okay? So, the eye is designed to make that a clear picture. The light starts out here. The first structure that it has to go through is this cornea. Your cornea is a curved shell on the outside of your eye. It's clear. As long as there's nothing health problems wrong with you, it should be clear. And so the light goes straight through it. It's mostly there for protection. It does a little bit to help focus the light, but its primary thing is to make sure nothing gets into your eye and tries to protect it from damage. Okay? As it passes through that outside shell, it goes through a little bit of liquid here behind it. Okay? The cornea is kind of like a contact lens, but it's built into your eye. The front edge of it is curved like a contact lens. Okay? It floats in through this pocket. Now, behind this pocket are a couple of different things. There's a muscle. That colored part of your eye is called the iris, and it's a muscle. That muscle is designed to be able to contract or to dilate to control how much light is allowed into your eyes. Because your eyes are very, very sensitive. Too much light, and it starts to hurt your eyes, right? That, you know, when somebody flips on the light after you've been in the dark for a while, or when you wake up first thing in the morning, and oh, that's really bright and it bothers you, it's because your iris is wide open because you've been sitting in the dark. It's been trying to let in as much light as it possibly can so you can get a better picture. Well, until that iris closes down, you've got too much light going in, and it causes your eyes to be just overstimulated, and they're going, whoa, no, don't want that anymore. And so your eyelids try and close to keep out some of that light. That's another way to limit the light. Okay? So that muscle is here on the tops and bottoms. Okay? It circles around, we all know that. Okay? The black part in the middle of your eye is called the pupil. Now the pupil isn't actually a thing. It's actually the opening. It's a hole, exactly. It's the hole in the middle of the iris. Okay? This is where the light comes into your eye. Your iris controls the size of the pupil to control how much light is going in. If there's a lot of light out there, you only need a little bit of it to make a picture out of it. If there's not much light, then you open it up to get as much as is there so you can get a picture. Okay? So that's why the iris does that. The light comes in through the pupil and runs into this little lens here. It's actually called a lens. It's the same kind of thing as glasses or contact lenses. It's a piece of material that is meant by its shape to help bend light. Okay? Light waves can be bent and directed. And that's what lenses, that's what glasses, that's what cameras, that's what all of these things do, because the idea of bending it is so that light that comes in through this hole is then bent and focused into a picture on the back side of the inside of your eyeball. Okay? Because when it lands there, that light hits certain specialized cells that will change the surface of nerves behind them. Remember when we talked about when the surface of nerves gets changed, they send an impulse, they send a message to the next nerve down the chain. Well, in these guys' case, that next nerve is the optic nerve, and it's headed for the brain. Okay? So the inside of the eyeball is actually mostly hollow. Now, not hollow as in has air in it, okay? It's actually filled with kind of a gel-like substance. It's called the vitreous humor. Don't need to mess with it, okay? Don't need that word, just telling you what it is. The vitreous humor is kind of like a gel or a jello that fills this up, okay? Light goes right through it, no big deal. The light lands on the inside layer of the eyeball itself, okay? That layer is called the retina. The retina is filled with these specialized cells that change their chemistry as soon as light hits them. It's that little bit of extra energy from the light waves coming into your eyes that's all that it takes to change these guys, and so they set off the nerves that are attached to them. Now, there are literally millions in each of your eyes of these cells, okay? Millions of them, and so the different colors that are coming at you from a million different directions as you sit here, they hit different cells in the back, causing a pattern. They cause a picture, right? Well, what that does is it also sends a pattern of just electrical impulses through those nerves. Well, your brain, all those patterns of impulses go around to the occipital lobe. Wake up. Go around to the occipital lobe, and your brain puts them back together as a picture, and that's what you see. It lets you interpret those things that came into your eyes as light, went through your brain as little electric impulses, and then it puts them back together as a picture for you, so that you can see your environment. Okay? Now, there are actually two different kinds of cells that are part of the retina. One's called rods, the other one's called cones. It's because of the shape of the cell, really. It's not a real accurate description, but it's close enough, I guess. Rods are cells that are in there to sense basically the presence or absence of light. Is the light bright? Is it dim? The light coming from over there, is it bright or is it dim? Or is it over there, is it bright or is it dim? For me right now, looking up at that projector, there's a big bright white spot. Okay? That's why I don't look up, because wow, it's blinding. Okay? The rods are there to see light or not light. They give you a black and white picture. Okay? So part of your eyeball, part of the retina is covered in cells that are designed to give you a black and white picture, to tell you how bright something is. The cones, on the other hand, are there to sense colors, to tell you the different colors of what's in front of you. Okay? So the mixture of light and dark, colored and not colored, is what puts together the information so you get a very detailed picture. Because remember, there are millions of these inside each eyeball. Millions and millions of them. So each of those can send a little bit of detailed information. So you get a very detailed picture when it gets to your brain. Okay? So we've got rods, we got cones, one's for light, one's for color. Black and white vision for rods, though, if you notice something, you can test this out the next time that maybe you shut the lights off and getting ready for bed. There are more rods around the outsides of your eyeballs, like for me, here on the sides. So your peripheral vision is very good in black and white. It's not as good in color. If you notice, at the edges of your vision, your colors aren't as strong. Okay? At the straight back of your eye is where more of the cones are. So things straight in front of you are the most bright and vibrant colors when you look at them. Okay? So what happens is when you're in the dark, your peripheral vision is actually clearer if you look just off to the side of something that you're trying to look at. Next time you're outside at night, take a look up at the stars. You look straight at a star and it can kind of be fuzzy and hard to see. Look off just to the side of it so you catch the star and your peripheral vision becomes bright and clear. because the rods and cones will see that black and white picture more clearly out of your peripheral vision. Just kind of a cool little trick. All right, let's go back to taking a look at the eyeball. Yeah, I blew this one up big. Okay? This is just designed to show you a little bit about the structures that support your eye. Your eye is in a socket made mostly of bone. That's what this porous stuff is around here, okay? So it's surrounded mostly by bone. You've got the ridges here. You've got your eyelids here, okay? But a lot of what goes on in this eye socket are these big red things. These are the small muscles that control your eye's movement, okay? These are also wired directly to your brain. So this whole eye thing is very, very important to you, okay? These are wired directly to your brain, and think about this, all these different muscles to pull, because your eye is very detailed. It can aim all over the place, and they have to coordinate between the two eyes. You can look straight ahead, you can look off to the sides, up, down, sideways, at angles, you can look all over the place. That's controlled by all of these muscles, okay? It's a very complex set of muscles and a complex set of nerves that allows you to be able to aim your eyes where you want and to be able to focus them in on what you really want to see. Okay? All right, let's move on and take a look at taste. Taste comes from taste buds, right? We all know that one. That one's not a secret. Taste buds are on your tongue and on a few places at the edges of your throat. Okay? Now, taste buds, what those are basically little structures on your tongue where a bunch of cells that are designed to sense chemicals are. They're little chemical receptors. They're like a little chemistry lab in there. Okay? Now, most of your tongue is covered by small taste buds out here at the front. At the back, you get some larger taste buds that kind of have a focus on some different tastes than what the small guys do, okay? And you'll also notice that certain parts of your tongue are sensitive to certain flavors, more than they are others. This doesn't mean that you can only taste sweet things on the tip of your tongue. That's not what this picture means. That means you taste sweet things more clearly with the tip of your tongue. So you taste something sweet and you just touch your tongue to it, the tip of your tongue, it will taste even more sweet than if you put it all over your tongue, or at the back of your tongue. Okay? Off to the sides a little bit is where you sense salty the most, and sour is off to the sides here. So you eat those Warheads or Sour Patch Kids and that sort of thing. You put them on the sides of your mouth. At the sides of your tongue is what senses that really strong. If you throw them in the middle of your tongue, they're not as bad. That's why sometimes you'll instinctively do it. You'll instinctively do this every once in a while. When you pop candy into your mouth and you put it over here in your cheek, it's like, whoa, man, that's bad. You'll roll it to the center of your tongue. You won't even think about it. But what that does, by rolling it around a little bit, it changes the amount of sour that you're actually picking up. Okay? So, different parts of your tongue have different tastes. Now, just like your eyeball, there are literally millions of cells involved here. And so, what your brain is getting is the chemical signatures that are coming in from all these millions of taste buds all over your tongue. The patterns of what it's tasting. It can taste these four major things: sweet, salt, sour, bitter, and just a couple of other things. Okay? When you get millions of these different things of saying, okay, that's kind of sweet, kind of sour, kind of this, kind of that, it's a blending of different things. Your brain gets all that information, puts it all together as one pattern of tastes of chemicals in your mouth, and it says, oh, that's a banana. Or, oh, that's a ham and cheese sandwich. I recognize those things. Because it recognizes the pattern of information that it's getting from all over your tongue. It's the combinations of different flavors and things, and different chemicals that are mixed into foods that your brain recognizes and puts together. It's not your tongue that tastes them. Your tongue, all it gets is, okay, this taste bud has this chemical. Zap, sends that signal to your brain. This one has this. Zap, 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 zap. Millions of those. Your brain gets all those millions of pieces of information, puts that pattern together and goes, oh, yeah, okay, that's peanut butter and jelly. Okay? The more that you train your brain to recognize these things, this is what famous chefs will be able to do. You've probably seen this in some of those cooking shows. They're able to take and taste something and be able to tell you what's in it. And any good cook is tasting the food as they go. Because they know, oh, I want to add a little bit of this for flavor, a little bit of that to the flavor. And it balances out what the brain is going to feel from this, what the brain is going to get from all of this. All right, so let's take a look at what a taste bud really does look like when we zoom in on them. All right, that image didn't go so well. Basically what taste buds are places in your tongue where the cells kind of make a dome-shaped object, like this guy here. This is a taste bud. Okay? What it is it's a piece of your tongue that sticks up and is surrounded by a canyon. Okay? That's what this is showing here. So it kind of looks, in this case, it kind of looks like teeth next to each other. Okay? It's fairly similar to that, but they're three-dimensional. They're spread out over the surface of the tongue. Okay? And these little bulbs here are filled with little, those are where the taste buds actually are. Okay? These are the taste cells in here. Each of these little things is like this. It's a bundle of cells that each have a little thing sticking up off the end. And when chemicals in your food hit those, it triggers the nerves that are attached to the back end. Okay? So that sends a nerve impulse. Well, when you got millions of these dudes doing this all over your tongue's surface, that pattern goes in and becomes the flavor that your brain comes up with. Okay? So that's what we've got for how vision information comes in and how taste information comes in. These are part of your part of your peripheral nervous system. These are the sensory nerves. Okay? All right, that's it for today.